Good evening, everyone. In the last 3 videos of this series, we've explored the first 30 chapters of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. The story opens with the Bennet family navigating the challenges of marriage, social class, and personal values in Regency England. We see Elizabeth Bennet's sharp wit and strong sense of independence as she confronts societal expectations, particularly around marriage. Her evolving relationship with Mr. Darcy begins with misunderstandings and pride on both sides, while Charlotte Lucas's pragmatic engagement to Mr. Collins highlights contrasting views on marriage. Elizabeth's visit to Charlotte at Hunsford introduces us to the imposing Lady Catherine de Bourgh and deepens the novel's exploration of class and power. Throughout these chapters, themes of love, social status, and personal integrity intertwine as Elizabeth grows increasingly aware of the complexities surrounding her family and the society they live in. In Chapter 31, Elizabeth Bennet continues her visit at the Collinses' residence near Rosings Park, deepening her acquaintance with the social circle surrounding Lady Catherine de Bourgh. The chapter opens with Elizabeth engaging in more conversations with Mr. Collins, whose awkwardness and obsequious behavior continue to provide both comic relief and social commentary on patronage and deference. Elizabeth also begins to notice the subtle dynamics between Lady Catherine and her daughter, Anne de Bourgh. Lady Catherine's domineering and controlling nature contrasts sharply with Anne's quiet, reserved demeanor. Elizabeth senses that Anne's fragile health and subdued presence make her largely overshadowed by her mother's forceful personality. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's interactions with Lady Catherine grow more frequent, allowing her to observe the lady's pride and insistence on social hierarchy firsthand. Despite Lady Catherine's condescension, Elizabeth maintains her composure and polite resistance, subtly challenging Lady Catherine's assumptions about class and breeding. Additionally, Elizabeth spends time with Charlotte, who remains practical and content in her marriage, reinforcing the differing perspectives on marriage between the two friends. Charlotte's acceptance of her situation contrasts with Elizabeth's more idealistic views, deepening the novel's ongoing examination of social expectations and personal compromise. The chapter also hints at the increasing importance of Mr. Darcy, whose presence and influence loom over the area, though he has not yet appeared prominently. Elizabeth's visit to Hunsford thus sets the stage for her eventual encounters with Darcy and the unfolding developments that will challenge her prejudices and assumptions. Chapter 31 continues to explore themes of social class, marriage, and individual character, while highlighting Elizabeth's wit and independence amid the rigid world of the landed gentry. It prepares readers for the next phase of Elizabeth's journey, where personal and social tensions will come to a head. In Chapter 32, Elizabeth's visit at Hunsford continues as she becomes more acquainted with Lady Catherine de Bourgh's household and social circle. The chapter highlights the ongoing contrasts between Elizabeth's spirited independence and Lady Catherine's authoritarian demeanor. Elizabeth remains observant and unyielding, refusing to be intimidated by Lady Catherine's pride and high-handed manner. During her stay, Elizabeth enjoys several conversations with Charlotte Collins, who shares her practical views on marriage and the compromises it entails. Charlotte's contentment with her situation continues to offer a foil to Elizabeth's more idealistic perspective, deepening the novel's exploration of women's roles and societal expectations in Regency England. Mr. Collins, meanwhile, persists in his obsequious behavior, constantly praising Lady Catherine and displaying his social ambitions. His awkwardness and vanity remain a source of subtle humor and social critique. Elizabeth also notices the continued delicate health of Anne de Bourgh, Lady Catherine's daughter, whose quiet presence contrasts with her mother's dominating personality. This dynamic further underscores themes of control, expectation, and the limited options available to women of the time. As Elizabeth spends more time in this environment, she grows increasingly aware of the rigid social hierarchy and the pressures that shape the lives of those around her. The chapter prepares the ground for Elizabeth's impending encounter with Mr. Darcy, whose influence is felt even in his absence. Overall, Chapter 32 deepens the novel's examination of class, marriage, and personal integrity, while highlighting Elizabeth's resilience and sharp intellect amid a challenging social setting. In Chapter 33, Elizabeth continues her stay at Hunsford and becomes increasingly aware of the social dynamics surrounding Lady Catherine de Bourgh and her household. During a visit to Rosings Park, Elizabeth experiences firsthand the grandeur and rigid formality of aristocratic life. Lady Catherine's commanding presence dominates the scene, and her sharp, critical observations make Elizabeth more conscious of the social gap between them. Elizabeth's sharp wit and independent spirit remain evident as she navigates conversations filled with subtle barbs and social posturing. Despite Lady Catherine's attempts to assert superiority, Elizabeth holds her ground with tact and intelligence, signaling her unwillingness to be intimidated by rank or wealth. Mr. Collins continues to fawn over Lady Catherine, amusing Elizabeth with his obsequious behavior and blind admiration. His eagerness to please and secure favor contrasts with Elizabeth's self-respect and skepticism of social climbing. Throughout the chapter, Elizabeth reflects on the constraints placed on women like Anne de Bourgh, whose delicate health and passive nature leave her little agency. This observation adds depth to the novel's themes of gender roles and societal expectations. Chapter 33 further establishes the tension between individual character and social hierarchy. Elizabeth's experiences at Rosings highlight her courage and sharpness, qualities that will be tested as her interactions with Lady Catherine and Mr. Darcy develop. In Chapter 34, Elizabeth spends more time at Rosings Park, continuing to observe Lady Catherine de Bourgh's commanding influence over her household and social circle. Elizabeth notices Lady Catherine's habit of imposing her opinions on everyone around her, often speaking with authority and little regard for others' feelings or perspectives. During a visit, Lady Catherine engages Elizabeth in conversation, displaying a mixture of curiosity and condescension. She questions Elizabeth about her family and background, clearly intrigued but also judgmental of Elizabeth's lower social standing. Elizabeth, however, answers with polite confidence, refusing to be diminished by Lady Catherine's haughty attitude. Mr. Collins remains devoted to Lady Catherine, frequently praising her and seeking her approval. His obsequiousness continues to provide comic relief and highlights the theme of social ambition versus personal integrity. Elizabeth also observes the dynamics between Lady Catherine and her daughter, Anne de Bourgh, whose meekness and frailty contrast sharply with her mother's domineering personality. This contrast underscores the pressures and limitations placed on women within aristocratic families. Throughout the chapter, Elizabeth reflects on the rigid social hierarchy and the expectations imposed upon women regarding marriage and behavior. Her interactions at Rosings deepen her understanding of the social constraints she navigates and reinforce her determination to maintain her independence and principles. Chapter 34 continues to develop the themes of class, power, and individual agency, setting the stage for the evolving relationships and conflicts that will shape Elizabeth's journey. In Chapter 35, Elizabeth's stay at Hunsford progresses as she becomes more familiar with the social environment surrounding Rosings Park. The chapter highlights Elizabeth's keen observations of the personalities and behaviors of those around her, particularly Lady Catherine de Bourgh and Mr. Collins. Elizabeth notices Lady Catherine's controlling nature and her tendency to dominate conversations and dictate the lives of those in her circle. Despite Lady Catherine's overbearing manner, Elizabeth remains composed and confident, engaging politely but resisting any attempts to intimidate or belittle her. Mr. Collins continues his fawning behavior, constantly seeking Lady Catherine's approval and eagerly sharing news about her with Elizabeth. His obsequiousness and lack of self-awareness provide moments of humor, contrasting with Elizabeth's sharp wit and independent spirit. Elizabeth also reflects on her friendship with Charlotte Collins, appreciating her friend's practical approach to marriage even as she remains personally skeptical of such compromises. The differences between Elizabeth's ideals and Charlotte's pragmatism deepen the novel's exploration of marriage, social expectation, and personal happiness. Throughout the chapter, Elizabeth's interactions at Hunsford reveal the social pressures and expectations faced by women, especially regarding marriage and status. Elizabeth's observations and responses demonstrate her resilience and commitment to personal integrity amid these constraints. Chapter 35 further develops the novel's central themes of class, power, and individuality, preparing readers for the important encounters and revelations that lie ahead in Elizabeth's journey. In Chapter 36, Elizabeth continues to deepen her understanding of the social world surrounding Rosings Park during her stay at Hunsford. The chapter focuses on Elizabeth's growing awareness of Lady Catherine de Bourgh's domineering personality and the strict social hierarchy that governs interactions within the estate. Elizabeth observes how Lady Catherine exerts control not only over her household, but also over the lives of those connected to her, including her daughter Anne de Bourgh, whose fragile health and meek disposition highlight the limited options available to women of her status. This dynamic underscores the novel's exploration of power, gender roles, and societal expectations. Mr. Collins remains eager to please Lady Catherine, frequently praising her and boasting about his connection to her. His obsequious behavior continues to amuse Elizabeth, who contrasts his sycophancy with her own independent mindset. Throughout the chapter, Elizabeth reflects on the differences between herself and the people around her, particularly in terms of values and personality. Her sharp intellect and strong will stand out against the conformity and deference expected in this environment. Chapter 36 reinforces themes of pride, social class, and individual agency, while preparing the ground for Elizabeth's forthcoming encounters that will challenge both her and those around her. In Chapter 37, Elizabeth's visit at Hunsford continues to unfold as she becomes more entrenched in the social circle dominated by Lady Catherine de Bourgh. The chapter centers on Elizabeth's growing awareness of the contrasting personalities and values within this world. Elizabeth continues to observe Lady Catherine's imperious nature and her rigid control over her household. Lady Catherine's overbearing demeanor and insistence on social hierarchy become increasingly evident, highlighting the limitations placed on those within her sphere, especially women like her daughter, Anne de Bourgh. Mr. Collins persists in his sycophantic behavior, much to Elizabeth's quiet amusement and occasional embarrassment. His constant praise of Lady Catherine and his attempts to impress Elizabeth reflect his social ambitions and lack of self-awareness. Amidst these interactions, Elizabeth reflects on her own principles and the compromises others make to navigate society. Her friendship with Charlotte Collins serves as a poignant contrast. Charlotte's acceptance of a pragmatic marriage stands against Elizabeth's desire for love and mutual respect. Chapter 37 deepens the novel's exploration of social class, marriage, and personal integrity, while building anticipation for the significant events and revelations that lie ahead in Elizabeth's journey. In Chapter 38, Elizabeth continues her stay at Hunsford, growing increasingly aware of the social atmosphere that defines Lady Catherine de Bourgh's world. The chapter focuses on Elizabeth's interactions with Lady Catherine, Mr. Collins, and Charlotte Collins, highlighting the contrasting personalities and values among them. Elizabeth notices Lady Catherine's unyielding pride and authoritative manner as the lady dominates conversations and asserts her views on social status and proper behavior. Despite Lady Catherine's condescension, Elizabeth remains composed and confident, politely resisting attempts to impose judgments on her family and background. Mr. Collins continues his obsequious behavior, eager to please Lady Catherine and constantly seeking her approval. His exaggerated praise and awkward manner provide moments of comic relief, which Elizabeth observes with amusement. Charlotte, meanwhile, exemplifies a practical acceptance of social expectations, content with her marriage and role, even as Elizabeth questions the sacrifices involved. Throughout the chapter, Elizabeth reflects on the tensions between personal integrity and societal pressure, further developing the novel's themes of class, pride, and individuality. The chapter sets the stage for upcoming interactions that will challenge Elizabeth's perceptions and test her resolve. In Chapter 39, Elizabeth continues her visit at Hunsford and experiences a significant and unexpected development. Mr. Darcy arrives at Rosings Park, marking a pivotal moment in the story. His presence immediately captures Elizabeth's attention, stirring a mix of curiosity and apprehension given their previous interactions. Darcy's demeanor is reserved yet courteous, contrasting with Mr. Collins's obsequiousness. Elizabeth notices Darcy's reserved nature, but also senses a depth of feeling beneath his composed exterior. Their encounters are charged with unspoken tension, as Elizabeth's initial prejudice against Darcy begins to be challenged by his behavior. Meanwhile, Lady Catherine continues to assert her dominance over the household, her commanding presence influencing everyone around her. Elizabeth remains vigilant, aware of Lady Catherine's pride and influence, even as she navigates her growing awareness of Darcy. The chapter marks the beginning of a more direct interaction between Elizabeth and Darcy, setting the stage for the evolving complexities of their relationship. Themes of pride, misunderstanding, and social expectation are brought to the forefront as Elizabeth confronts her feelings and judgments. Overall, Chapter 39 introduces a turning point in the narrative, intensifying the personal and social tensions that drive the story forward. In Chapter 40, Elizabeth's interactions with Mr. Darcy become more frequent, allowing her to observe his character in greater depth. During conversations at Rosings Park, Elizabeth notices Darcy's reserved and serious nature, which contrasts with the more superficial behavior of others in the social circle. Darcy's manners are polite but somewhat distant, and he speaks thoughtfully, revealing a more reflective and sincere side. Elizabeth finds herself both intrigued and puzzled by him, as her earlier prejudices begin to soften in light of these new impressions. Meanwhile, Lady Catherine de Bourgh continues to dominate social interactions with her imperious attitude and sharp judgments. Elizabeth remains firm and composed, not allowing Lady Catherine's condescension to unsettle her. The chapter also highlights the growing tension between social expectations and personal feelings. Elizabeth reflects on the complexities of pride, class, and individual integrity as she navigates her evolving relationship with Darcy and the pressures of the aristocratic world. Chapter 40 deepens the novel's exploration of character, social hierarchy, and emerging emotions, setting the stage for the important developments to come.